Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Freaky Friday edition of Encrypted Connections. Tonight, I have some special guests, and I'm not talking about this one. I mean, she's special, but that's not what I'm talking about. She's pretty special, but that's not what I'm talking about. And let me just get one thing across. Maverick's good. He's good. If everybody's worried about him, he's good. We got a scare. He was whimpering. He was crying. He was in pain. He was going to the bathroom. He was walking funny. He seemed confused. So we got him to the vet. He got the checkup and all the stuff. And he got a clean bill of health. He had gastroenteritis. So he got some fluids. He got some medicine. And he's got a bland diet. He's resting upstairs. He's okay. And this is Hope. She doesn't make an appearance that often. Ollie usually does. This little girl right here is a gangster. Let me just get that across to everybody. She's a gangster. She is as tough as they come, but she's my baby. So anyway, we have a special guest tonight, and if you look to the other side of the screen, you'll see these strange people staring at us on our live. I'm just kidding. Bigfoot Lake and Lake Faerie are here for this special episode. How you doing, guys?
Doing well.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on. We appreciate it.
Anytime. No, I'm excited for this. I'm excited. Hello to everybody in the chat. How are you guys today? Happy to have you here. You know the drill. Try to keep it clean. I'm sure our moderators, who are just incredible, they'll do their job and get rid of any, fricks and fracks who may pop in. We had on the live today. It's the first time it's ever happened to me. On the live today, someone sent a porn site to the live, like, click here for dirty girls. I was like, wait, what?
For every video I put out, I get about 15 comments of something like those. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't even want to talk about when I go live. I mean, they're just relentless.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the first time I've ever seen it.
It comes with the territory.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that? Why is it saying?
Don't click those links.
Yeah,
I never click those.
I go, are you kidding me? I'm 42. I'm too lazy to look up porn.
I know Cashew knows
I'm
how
good.
to make them. For any new moderators, hide from channel report. It needs at least 20 reports per one before the tube even looks into them, if that helps.
Really?
So anyone in the chat can report it, even without a wrench. So if you have 20 people in your chat, you need all 20 to go and report that.
We have 23. So if there's any porn people that pop up in the chat, you all have to go report them so that they get in trouble. Or any other, just bad
riffraff.
Yeah. Get them out of here. We don't need them. So our topic tonight is not Bigfoot. It's not Bigfoot. I hope I don't upset the the hardcore Bigfooters, because I'm a hardcore Bigfooter.
Yeah, I had to put Spruce in the back. He's kind of pouting back there right now.
He's a hardcore Bigfooter?
Yeah.
No, he's hardcore Bigfoot.
He's hardcore Bigfoot?
Maybe he can come say hi.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, so he's upset. Sorry, bro. Listen, Spruce, I'm sorry, bro. You've had every show so far. Like, give some other people some shine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're just trying to spread the love to everybody.
Spruce is a little upset.
So tonight, the bloodsuckers are getting some love. We're going to talk about some vampires.
Yeah, just for the record, Spruce, this stream is kind of going to suck.
Ah.
That's for you, Cashew.
So I had brought up there was a family who lived not too far from me. Jewett City is the name of the town. I guess technically it's a city. It's a small city, if you consider it a city at all. I don't know. It's right off Route 12, up by Griswold area in Connecticut. If anyone's familiar, probably not, but very small towns, old New England towns that were settled a long, long time ago. Lots of history, lots of hauntings and all that kind of stuff. And most towns around here have many different reports of, hauntings in cemeteries or roads or whatever. It's just this areas because it's so old. So there was a family, and I'm sorry, I have to get my phone because I want to make sure I get this right. I always get the name wrong. There was a family, and what was happening is, one by one they were dying, right? And so back then, when people didn't know as much as they know now, they used to blame things on other stuff, right? And hysteria would take over for something that really had a reasonable explanation. So these folks started getting sick, and one by one they were dying. And I'm going to tell you exactly the order of how this went. This was the 1840s and 50s is when this happened. And so it was the Ray family, and let's see, Henry Sr., his two adult sons, Lemuel and Elijah, died of what they call a wasting disease.
Yeah, consumption.
Consumption, exactly. But to these people back then, they didn't know when some of these symptoms would happen. They would think like, oh my God, they've been taken over by the devil or something else is going on. So, so what happened was the whole family died, every one of them. It was Henry, his two adult sons. Then in 1854, third son, Henry Nelson Ray, was struck by a strange disease, which today would be identified as tuberculosis. Back then, they thought it was the work of a vampire. This was just the way things were. The family exhumed the bodies of Lemuel and Elijah and burned them right there in the graveyard. The macabre family reunion made the newspapers of the day, and due in large part to the media attention, the Ray family is known today as the Jewett City Vampires. So not an incredible story, but if you have to think about what it was like back in the day for these people, just like the witch trials, if somebody was different, if somebody showed any sign of anything different, if you weren't praying to the same God as everybody else, doing the same thing on Sunday morning, you were an outcast and you probably had the devil in you. And, so these are the things that happened, and it caused all kinds of problems. It caused mass hysteria, it caused violence and murders for people who really were just sick. What happened, though, is just in the 2000s, I think the mid 2000s, in a graveyard close by, they found that there was another family that possibly was struck by the same thing, because for whatever reason they exhumed these bodies, and when they did, all three of them had their femur bones in a cross on their chest. Their skull was decapitated from the body, and it was spun around facing down in the coffin. And that was what they did to mark that these people were vampires back then. Just weird stuff. But there's so much history around vampires, right? One of the ones that I go to all the time is Elizabeth Bathory. She was a serial killer in Hungary, I believe, and she would bathe in the blood of young girls because she thought that it would keep her young. I mean, she killed a ton of these young girls. She was a monster. But then there's others. You tell me you know one. I know you know one. You were talking about him the other day.
Well, there's lots.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. Let's hear it.
Well, first, that's kind of, my wife and I, we've talked about this. Vampires. That's like, at least for us, that was like our original terror when we were a kid. It's like vampires were like the nightmare, and researching what we did because I honestly hadn't heard of the Jewett City case before.
Yep.
And boy, I tell you, the more you dig into that region, it's like rabbit hole to rabbit hole. I don't know what's going on in the New England states, but y'all got some stuff going on over there.
There's a lot, dude. There's a lot.
It is. The history is.
Do you know Connecticut was actually the first place in the United States to have witch trials? It wasn't Salem. It was here. Yeah, this was the first place. And I think it was like 38 people went to trial for it. I forget how many actually got killed. But there's a spot that's 7 minutes down the road from me called Gallows Lane. And there was a girl who they thought was a witch. I guess maybe she had killed her baby. There's kind of a little bit of like, some people say she killed her baby. Some other people said, no, she didn't kill the baby, but she was doing some weird things. Well, they drowned her because there was this belief that if you were a witch, you couldn't be drowned. That you would, even if they tried, you would pop to the surface. And yeah, that didn't happen. And she died. That road's a creepy road, dude. Creepy still to this day. But, go ahead. Keep going. What did you find out?
Well, some of the things I found out was not everybody was quite on board with this story of the vampires. Not everybody agreed with this. Mm-hmm. And the more you dig into some of the older newspaper articles and such, I actually have one. Let's see. I have one here I can share if it's okay, or I can just read it to you. It doesn't matter.
Whatever you want.
Let's see. I'll just read it. It's from the Norwich, Connecticut. Does that sound familiar?
Oh yeah, 15 minutes away.
Okay, from the Norwich, Connecticut Courier. It relates a strange and almost incredible tale of superstition recently enacted in Jewett City in that vicinity. It says about 6 years ago, Horace Ray of Griswold died of consumption. And like you mentioned, Kyle, that's tuberculosis. They didn't know at the time.
Right.
Since that time, 2 of his children, grown-up people, have died of the same disease. The last one dying some 2 years since. Not long ago, the same fatal disease seized upon another son, whereupon it was determined to exhume the bodies of the 2 brothers already dead and burn them, because the dead were supposed to feed upon the living. Mm-hmm. And so long as the dead body remained in a state of decomposition, either wholly or in part, the surviving members of the family must continue to furnish the sustenance on which that dead body fed. Okay, acting under the influence, and this is the part where when I read this, I almost sense a little bit of mockery from this newspaper article towards these people, because it says, acting under the influence of this strange and blind superstition, the family and friends of the deceased proceeded to the burial ground at Jewett City on the 8th, dug up the dead bodies of the deceased brothers and burned them on the spot. It seems impossible to believe that such dark ignorance and folly could exist in the middle of the 19th century and in a state calling itself enlightened and Christian. And that's from the Boston Courier.
Yeah. Yeah. This, you're right. This whole area is full of all kinds of mysteries and all kinds of paranormal and rabbit hole after rabbit hole. See, for me though, not really related to those vampires, but for me, they were definitely the nightmare. But there was always something very cool about a vampire, at least the way they were portrayed in movies, right?
Yeah, and I want to talk about.
They were cool. Mm-hmm. They could look at you and they could get you to do what they wanted. And there was something very sensual about it. Always, mm-hmm. The biting of the neck and the drawing of the life from, with the blood. Like, as a kid, it was scary, but as a teenager, it was like, ooh, this is exciting.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife about that just a bit ago. It's like, think about what this was a terrorizing story. I mean, look at what these people did.
Yeah.
They were terrified, and they would dig up their loved ones' remains to do this because they were terrified.
Right.
And now you have Hollywood glamorizing this.
Normalizing
It's just normal. It's
romancing it.
Like the biggest movie series of all time was it Twilight. It's like it's a love story. It's taken the darkness and made it beautiful. It's mainstream.
Right. That was I have to admit,
I'm a fan of Twilight. So
am I.
Yeah.
So am I. That I think it's a really great story.
Yeah.
And I think it was a little different because they brought the werewolves in and all that stuff. But I think it was a great story, and I think what you're talking about, like the love story. So many of those vampire stories going back, they were a love story. I mean, in a way, right? There was always that female counterpart that they were going after, and whether it was in certain movies she wanted to be turned, or the vampire was trying to turn her for whatever reason.
Yeah,
but
T-Bowie's got a good comment there. Says I think the idea of vampires came from the smooth character of fallen angels. Think about it. They look good, have cool powers, yet under all that are evil as can be.
Oh, that's a great comment. Yeah, that's a great comment. Yep. Who knows? Right. Could be, for sure.
And the whole blood sucking thing.
Yeah. Right.
And evil throughout history has had a way of disguising itself as beautiful.
There's you're right. There is, hold on. I had my notes and I don't know what I did with them because I can't remember everything. There is vampires even in religion, right? There's the oh my God, what's the name in Judaism? There's man, what is the name? There's a word. It means bloodsucker.
I actually was talking about that earlier. It starts with an A.
Oh my goodness. What did I do with all this stuff?
Yeah, she mentioned that to me right before the stream.
But so, and then it's not even just in Judaism. There's words for like, maybe not bloodsucker, but something similar and close in many religions. So where did it come from? Right. There's stories of, Vlad the Impaler wasn't a bloodsucker, but Vlad the Impaler was a real person.
I love Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah, me too. Just like Elizabeth Bathory, it was a real person, right?
Aluka is.
That's it. Yes, that's it. Yep. And so Vlad, this guy was one terrifying dude. I mean,
can I talk about Vlad?
Yes, go for it.
Vlad the Impaler was a monster, yet a hero.
Absolutely.
And Vlad, he was in the line of a few Vlads. His dad was Vlad II, and Vlad II was part of the Roman Empire's holy army, and he was given the title Dracul. I think that's how you say it, Dracul, which means dragon.
Yep.
And because he was part of the Order of the Dragon, which was this holy army of the Roman Empire, who would fight against the Ottoman Empire. So Vlad II, during a peace envoy, he went to the Ottomans, brought his sons, and they were taken. It was a setup. They released Vlad II, but they kept his two sons, Vlad III being one of them. And Vlad III, who became known as Vlad the Impaler, he learned much of the Ottoman culture. He became a warrior. And eventually, when he got free from the Ottomans, he came to find out that his father had been killed. His older brother had been tortured, blinded, and buried alive. And the story is that Vlad seeing this happening to his family is what created the son of the dragon,
Mm-hmm.
because his dad was Dragul, the of the Order of the Dragons, who Vlad the Impaler is the son of the dragon, and he went on a reign of terror. He fought with for his country against the Ottomans,
Mm-hmm.
defended it, and what Vlad would do, he would win wars before they even started, because the enemy would come up and they would see thousands of impaled bodies on these stakes, and they would say, they would just turn around and go.
Yeah.
He impaled upwards of 20,000 people.
Imagine what that looked like.
And the rage inside him. There's even stories of Vlad going out amongst the impaled while they're still twitching and dining and sitting there having his lunch. The rage from what he had seen happen to his family.
Right. I can understand it. You know, I can't even imagine if something like that were to happen to, you know, my child, what I would do. I'm sure that I would be filled with that type of rage as well. I don't think that I'm that righteous of a person that if somebody did that to my child, that I would be able to turn around to do the right thing. I just don't, you know. I think for most things I probably could. That I'm not sure. So I get it. But just imagine what that, being the Ottomans and riding up on horseback thinking you're these bad dudes, right? And you've basically, you know, beaten everybody else that you've ever fought, and then all of a sudden you come up on a garden of bodies, 20,000 deep on stakes. I'd turn around too.
Yeah. Horrifying.
I'd turn around too. I'd be, nope, sorry. It's not that important.
Yeah.
Did you see Dracula Untold?
Oh, great movie.
Great movie.
If you want, like, it's not like perfect according to the history of the Impaler, but it's pretty close, and it is a great movie.
It is. I would say it's the closest as far as like a Hollywood production goes.
Yes, that is a phenomenal movie.
Yep.
That's actually probably by far my favorite vampire movie.
Yeah, I'm up there with The Lost Boys. That's always
The Lost Boys.
That's a classic. That's a classic.
It's always a favorite, but I would say that they're probably neck and neck, just because.
Underworld is good too.
Yeah, Underworld's a good series.
Yeah, I wasn't really a huge fan. I don't know why.
I love The Lost Boys.
Yeah,
Lost Boys are great. So there's another story from this area. I don't know if you read this one about Mercy Brown.
Yeah, I read it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mercy, they say Mercy may rival Count Dracula as the most notorious vampire ever, except Mercy was real. She lived in Exeter, Rhode Island, which isn't far from here, probably about 35 or 40 minutes.
That's close to Jewett City, right?
It's very close. Yep.
Yeah.
About maybe 15 minutes outside of Jewett City.
Okay.
She was the daughter of George Brown, a farmer. After George lost many family members, including Mercy, in the late 1800s to tuberculosis, his community used Mercy as a scapegoat to explain their deaths. It was common at the time to blame several deaths in one family on the undead. The bodies of each dead family member were often exhumed and searched for signs of vampirism. When Mercy's body was exhumed and didn't display severe decay, not surprising since her body was placed in an above-ground vault during New England winter, the townspeople accused her of being a vampire and making her family sick from her icy grave. They cut out her heart, burned it, then fed the ashes to her sick brother.
Yeah, and they made it into a puree, like.
Yeah. Perhaps not surprisingly, he died shortly thereafter. I mean, it's just crazy that there was a time, and if you think about it, not that long ago. I mean, you know, I've been alive for 42 years now, and it went by in a blink of an eye, right? So, a couple hundred years or 100 years, like, it's not that long ago when these people were having these crazy ideas about what was going on. Like, it's just nuts, man. It's just nuts. And and wonder, like, why? What was it about that time that drove people to believe in such crazy things, crazy theories? You know?
Yeah, and with all of these stories, typically there might be a pound of folklore, but there's an ounce of truth in a lot of these stories.
Absolutely.
That's just like doing research on so many other stories. Like, just for example, I love doing research on the Mothman, and you do research and you're like, why? You know, what could make these people possibly see this? And then you look at who those people are in Appalachia, and you go back to where they came from, Ireland and that area, and
The Celtic stories.
it is, and you think Mothman, the description of him sounds so much like the Banshees. It's like there's so I wonder what the if you would trace the click that off. If you would trace the history back of the New England states around that area, wonder what you would find.
Yeah, you know, the Celtics had a ton of really weird beliefs. Well, to some people they were weird, but I mean, Halloween even was a Celtic holiday, right? Am I right? Like it started as a Celtic holiday, I believe.
I'm not sure about started as, but because there's many people around the world that celebrate that. But there's certain beliefs is that if you dressed up as ghouls, the real ghouls would leave you alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that goes across so many different cultures. So, like even the Japanese, they if you ever see on so many of their like compounds and castles and all that stuff, they have those really crazy looking gargoyle dogs, right? And they're like demon dogs. They're called foo dogs, and that's the same thing. If they put these out there, then the real bad spirits would stay away. And you know that stuff goes, you know, through so many cultures. People would think that if they dressed up as things, or if they put these things somewhere, that it would keep the real demons out. And you know, it's crazy. So what else you got? I know you got a ton.
Well, my big one was Vlad.
Yeah.
He was, if you didn't know, many people already know this, but Vlad the Impaler was the big inspiration for Bram Stoker's Dracula. You know, he took obviously he embellished the story quite a bit, but that's where the heart is.
Right. And Stoker's Dracula, when was that published? It was because there were stories before that about this vampirism. Right?
Yes, yeah. Stoker, there was actually a book. Starts with a W. Somebody wrote a book, and Stoker would have read this book, and he drew a lot of influence from that book also.
Okay. Stoker, in fact, drew inspiration from a real-life man with an even more grotesque taste for blood, Vlad III.
Yeah.
Prince of Wallachia.
Wallachia, yep.
Vlad the Impaler, Vlad Tepes. Name he earned for his favorite way of dispensing of his enemies. That dude was savage. So how did Vlad die?
In battle. He died in battle. Yeah. And he was killed in battle. He was beheaded, and the Ottomans they put his head up on the wall for display.
Of course they did.
Yeah. I tell you, that was European. It was a religious war. It was the European Christians.
Yep.
That's who Vlad was fighting for. And you had the Ottoman, the Muslims, and it was that part of Europe was a bloodbath. It really was.
Yeah, absolutely. The way that they fought back then was much more savage, because it was all hand to hand, right? It was face to face. It was close quarters. It was with these medieval weapons that, you know, were slashing and bashing, and you really had to get close and do damage.
You were eye to eye.
That's a personal thing, man. That's, you know, when somebody gets killed that way in real life, it's usually a passion kill, right? That's what they call it, because they say that for someone to do that to somebody, there had to be a lot of feeling there. You know, probably some scorned lover or something like that, because it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to take a life, period. But doing that up close and personal like that, I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You'd be feeling it, everything. You'd be seeing everything. You'd be smelling the blood. Like, it's tough, man. I've been in a cage before fighting, and I promise you, like, the smell of blood is not a very pleasant smell.
Mm-mm.
That irony, metally smell. So, you know, let's talk about vampires in pop culture then. I mean, we touched on it a little bit, but you know, when I was a kid, one of my favorite movies ever, I don't know if you guys will remember this, but one of my favorite movies was The Monster Squad. Did anybody see this movie?
That's a really old one. It's a kid's one.
Well, yes, it was a kid's movie. They re-released it a couple years ago because it was the anniversary of it. But
wasn't it the kid from the Wonder Years that also played in that? He
no,
played in the Wonder Years. Right?
No, there was the kids in this movie. Like, none of them were anybody famous at the time, and none of them really went on to do anything after this movie, except for I think one kid was in some '80s movies, but I don't remember his name. But this movie was a young kid's dream, right? So it was Count Dracula, the Mummy, Frankenstein, Wolfman, and the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
That's everything.
That's everything.
That's the whole team.
That's it. And there was an amulet, and the amulet, once Dracula got the amulet, if he opened the portal, he would release everything from the veil, and the monsters and the demons from the other side would inhabit Earth, and that was it. And there was these kids who made a club that they were going to stop him. It was like, for a kid, it was the greatest thing ever. But the person in that movie who was the most terrifying was Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the werewolf's pretty scary too, but Dracula was the guy.
Nobody wants that veil opened and things coming from the other side.
Right.
Everybody knows whatever the other side is, it's nothing good over there.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Not when those guys are involved. That's for sure. It was a great movie though. So that was a good one. Interview with the Vampire was a wonderful movie. I thought. You know, it was to have a child playing the part of a, you know, ferocious, bloodthirsty vampire, and then Kirsten Dunst played it so well. I mean, she was haunting in that movie. She was so young.
She was young in that movie.
She was so young.
She had like a porcelain skin and.
Yes, I mean, talk about like this here. This is where you talk about sexy vampires. Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise in the same movie as vampires.
Right? You don't get any more pop culture than that.
I mean, come on, man. Like, really? What are you trying to do to the rest of us? You know?
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
No, you go.
No, you're talking about this. You know how Hollywood took it, and it's this. They're beautiful. It's they're everything you would want to be. They never get old.
Yeah. They
have ultimate strength. They are super smart.
Good looking.
Well, they're okay. They charming, everything, and that's what Hollywood. They push that out there, but you gotta keep in mind there is a dark past to this. I mean, very dark. And I want to show. Can I share a picture?
Yeah.
This is a picture of a female, and it's quote unquote a vampire. Real quick. I just saw Mike's comment, and I just want to say, Mike, buddy, I'm praying for you, pal. If you need something, please just give me a call or text. I'm only a phone call away, brother. Love you, man. Yep, you got our prayers too. All right, so go ahead. I'm sorry. Okay, so this picture. So okay, now just put this scene in your head for a minute.
Okay.
Picture Tom Cruise. Picture Brad Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, sleek vampires. They are sleek. They are Hollywood vampires. This is what they're portrayed as nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to take you on a trip back in time to Poland.
All
and
right.
this is a female vampire grave that they found. And I'm going to share this picture, and I want you to look at the method that they used as far as the burial. And this will show you how serious they took it. This was not make believe to these people.
Yeah, no, it was not.
Yeah, and that's why I say with every pound of folklore, there's an ounce of truth in some of this.
For sure.
So let me share this picture.
This happened just about a month ago that this was dug up.
Okay,
so, all right, I'll bring it up. Here we go. Ready? Boom. Oh.
Okay. Yeah, so
yeah.
What you have there in that picture, can you guys in chat tell what that is over the top of this?
We actually read about it just
what is over the top of this body's neck? What is that? I'm just curious if anybody has a guess. Right, Nana House got it. That is that's a sai or a sickle. And what would happen if this quote unquote vampire woke up and tried to come up? As soon as they would set up, the first thing that would happen was it would lose its head. And you can't look at this is from Poland. You can't look at this picture and not think these guys took this serious.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they feared whatever this person did, they feared it.
Right.
So from this darkness, we have Brad Pitt, we have Tom Cruise. You see how this darkness is now disguised as light.
Well, and there were in other parts of the world when people were fearing vampires for whatever reason. I don't know if it was grave robbers. I think that's what it was at the time. Were digging up graves, and they were finding that all these people who had been dead for a while were not decaying the right way. Now, there was a reason behind it. I don't remember what the reason was, but that's where all that comes from. Like, living forever, staying young, or whatever, is from whatever that was that caused them to not decay the right way after they died. But again, mass hysteria. They're like, oh my God, they've been dead for how long, and they still look like this. So, I mean, that's not normal. And then people would go crazy. They would do what the other people did here. They would dig them up. They would burn them. They would, whatever it took to make them feel safe and comfortable again. That's what they did. But it is crazy how from these things, from such fear, that you get these beautiful, sensual, super beings,
I mean, honestly, Kyle, can you honestly tell me that you wouldn't want to have been Edward from Twilight for just a little bit?
Can I? I'm gonna tell you something right now. I have such a fascination with vampires that I have had my own set of custom fangs made from like one of the best fang makers in the United States. Like, this is how big my fascination with it. I wished I was a vampire forever.
Wow.
Who wouldn't want to be? You can fly away, and you turn to a bat and fly away if you want to. You can mesmerize and hypnotize people. You're never going to get fat because your diet's high in protein and iron, and low in fat and carbs.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just a very cool monster.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead.
You think back to I don't know, when I picture that time period And I think back to those European countries. Think about Romanian culture. That's Transylvania.
Right.
I mean, I even when I think about that, I know the sun rose on those cities, but I just picture them as always dark.
Yeah.
It's like they're always dark. There's always a fog kind of drifting through.
Yep.
Just creepy.
There was a mob of people with torches.
Yeah. They're hunting down this monster, and I think the Romanians called it strigoi, Strigoi.
Yes.
Yeah, strigoi.
Yep.
These spirits that rise from the dead, and they live off of the blood of their victims, and they have superpowers. They can be invisible, and where did those stories come from?
Exactly. Where? Because like you said, there's an ounce of truth to everything. So how did that start? What started that, really? These things can't rise from the dead, and they feed on the living, and then they're immortal, and they have superpowers. Something, and this is why when we talk about like Bigfoot, this stuff kind of fits in because when you're talking about Bigfoot or cryptids or paranormal or anything, there's always that thing, right, where like Bigfoot, it's the woo. I hate using that term, but it's the people who believe that they are not flesh and blood, that they are strictly some kind of supernatural being and blah, blah, blah. But what it boils down to is I think that there's just so much that we don't know. And so who knows how this all really started? There could have been some crazy cryptid there. I mean, could still be there. You hear stories about some of the craziest monsters on this planet still. Africa, they're seeing dinosaurs. I mean, and it's not like it's just like one guy. Like, there's people seeing these things on a regular basis, or these thunderbirds that people are seeing. I mean, Doug, when he was on the show, talked about how that humanoid had a human face. It was the size of a human, but it had these giant wings, and it came down at the car. And if you don't believe that guy, I mean,
yeah,
so there's just I believe there's so much more out there that we just don't know. And then it's still, unfortunately, when people say, I saw this or this happened, and it's not the norm, that people go, there's no way that could happen. There's no way you saw a humanoid flying figure with, a 12-foot wingspan swoop down at your car. There's just no way. But how do we know?
And that's why
dreams about them when you were too young.
Yeah. And that's why people don't bring these stories out.
Right.
Because they don't want to be the crazy guy.
Right. Right. I was talking about it on the live earlier. I was speaking to these two gentlemen that contacted me. When I tell you the audio clip that they sent me is one of the most bananas things I've ever heard in my life. It is creepy. It is amazing. It's crazy. And it's all caught on a recorder. I mean, it is clear as day. This is not like some muffled anything. This is clear as day. There's no questioning what you're hearing. And when I'm hearing it and I know where this is, I know what time this is, I know the history behind the area it's in, I had goosebumps all over my body for the entirety of this audio. And when it was done, I just remember sitting there and going, people just have no idea what is going on behind that veil, because this is the perfect example, and you're going to hear it because they're coming on the show.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be a really interesting episode. These gentlemen didn't know each other, just happened to find out that both of them were experiencing the same type of stuff and were in the same area and had no idea until one of them saw the other one. I don't want to tell too much, but then they got in contact with each other, and they were like, the guy asked him, was like, hey, are you talking about this area?
Been there,
And the
done
guy says, yes, I'm talking about that area. How do you know? And he's like, I live there. I've been hunting there for 30 years. I'm there just about every day, and I'm having the same stuff happen. But I put recorders out in a tree, and I've been recording all of it. And they documented everything, not just recorders. They've got video of some stuff. They got pictures of some stuff, and they literally have it written out. Every single incident that happened, everyone, date, time, where they recorded it. I mean, this is like a podcaster's dream, what these guys got. But it just speaks to how much, you know, how much else is out there that's unknown or that can't be proven. You know, it's October. It's a month of Halloween. They say this is a time when the veil is the thinnest. And I know that, you know, all these paranormal researchers are gearing up to go on their special paranormal investigations this month. You know, probably the most haunted places that they can. You know, I used to do it before this, and there's really not a coincidence that during this month things did tend to ramp up. They did. You know, I'm kind of getting off topic of vampires, but it doesn't matter. We can kind of go
fine.
whatever. If you got other stuff to talk about too, like go for it.
No, I actually have some stuff to go right along with what you're saying.
So go for it. Let's hear it.
Couple things. Okay, I won't. One of the guys that we talk to quite a bit, he's pretty well known in the Bigfoot field. He told us.
Is this the gentleman that we spoke about?
Yes.
Okay.
He told us that it's this time of year that thing, even with Bigfoot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is the time of year when things heat up. Like
Absolutely.
right now.
Yep.
And on a personal story, this gal right here, she's kind of sensitive to things, and she picks up things that are kind of not normal.
Mm-hmm.
And she's also a night owl, so she's outside a lot at night. And it was how many nights ago? Less than a week ago, right?
I don't remember if it was Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday.
It was just a few days ago. She's outside, and I hear her yell, "Get out here, get out here." So I go running outside, and it's these lights. These lights drive us crazy here because
it's not just us though; it's our neighbors.
That's the thing. We see these lights changing speed,
in Vermont,
changing direction. And it's sometimes just zipping off. And it's something about this mountain. I don't know what it is, but it's like you're afraid to talk about this stuff
until you do, and
then exactly. She mentioned it to a friend, and she's like, "Oh yeah, we know the lights." It's like you never know who else is seeing this stuff unless somehow in a conversation you need to bring it up.
Can I ask you something? Is there any connection where you guys live to any Native Americans?
Oh yeah. Well, we're
French and Indian War.
When I was younger, my oldest daughter, this was probably 28 years ago, she was digging in the dirt, and I said, "Oh, Lauren, don't touch it. Don't touch." And she had her little shovel, and we found a bayonet. So yeah, I mean, I've got one right there in the cabinet, a whole big kaplowy. Yeah, so Fort William Henry, Paranormal Society likes to go there. They also try to get me to go places with them, and I've turned them down numerous times, and still until they stopped asking me. Yeah, Fort William Henry is not too far from us.
There's a lot of
Ticonderoga.
Well, we live in the southern edge of the Adirondack Park. That's 6 million acres.
6.3.
You can take every national park of the United States and fit it inside the Adirondacks.
That's amazing.
It is, and it's all mountains and it's all forest. And some of it's forest that you walk into and you didn't know exactly where you were. You might be in trouble.
Oh, you would be in trouble, 100%.
A lot
100%.
of the missing 411 is here in the Adirondacks.
So you work for her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's. Can I share another quick little story?
Yeah,
Without giving up your work.
Right.
While you're here.
So, well, I told you before stream what I do for my job, but
yeah, he's a dancer.
Yeah, it's. Like, I don't even know what to do with that.
The poles in the basement.
He's a dancer, and we started a global music company called Prestige Worldwide.
Prestige Worldwide.
Why?
But yeah, you can't go wrong with the Step Brothers reference. I can just put it that. But anyway, I was at work one day, and I was doing work on a lady's house, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and the whole time I'm there, I see these official looking people coming into her house. They come in and they sit down and they talk with this lady, and this goes on for a long time, and finally I get to the part of the house where I can kind of listen and hear part of this conversation, and come to find out this lady's husband just vanished, just disappeared. He's just gone.
So she talked to you, though.
Right. So after that, I found out that was the reason I was there at that house doing this work. And
what was it? About 2 years later, we watched
her
on TV.
It was a couple years later. I saw this lady on, and I saw this. I said, I know that house. We're watching The Missing 411 on. I think it was on YouTube. I don't know. We were watching 411, The Missing 411, David Paulides.
Yeah, it was.
And I was like,
show.
I know that house.
And then you're like, I know her.
I know her.
Oh my goodness, that's the woman you were telling me about.
Yeah, this lady she was part of the Missing 411.
Mm-hmm. I think we're a little frozen.
It was, I didn't know it at the time, but it was just.
Did you see he's coming out with a new one?
I did.
Yeah.
Did you watch his video though?
I don't know whether I did or not.
Oh, buddy. So if you know David Paulides, you know that David doesn't really ever get into Bigfoot. He doesn't talk about it.
Oh, he does now.
Well, he is about to talk about it in a big way, it sounds like. He's working with some group of people who it's a company. I believe it's a tech company. But here's the thing. These two people who started this tech company, who are brilliant, they both had encounters with the Sasquatch. And they came together and they started this company. Wouldn't tell anybody what it was, what the company is. But I would imagine tech company probably has something to do with Sasquatch, maybe in the name. I don't know. Maybe try to look it up. But anyway, they have, from what he's saying, they have some pretty astounding evidence to point to the fact that these creatures do have some extra abilities of some sort. And he'd been approached many times to do shows about Bigfoot, but the problem was that he didn't believe in the shows because they were fluff and they were, sensationalism and all that stuff. But he said what these guys are doing, what they're trying to do, he's really, really believes in it, and he thinks that it could change the whole Bigfoot world quite a bit. So
wow,
I was excited when I watched the video. I was really on the edge of my seat going, wow, what do they have? What is it that they have? But what worries me is that he brought this out publicly.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's definitely people out there who do not want those things known about these creatures. They don't.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Exactly.
I mean, a lot of times if somebody wants something shut down, it gets shut down. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, right.
I mean, where do you think the tales of the Men in Black? Where do you think the tales of Indrid Cold comes from?
Yeah, another great story. Indrid Cold.
He's told it many times. It's pretty
It's
pretty
amazing.
creepy. Yeah.
If you guys have never heard the story of Injured Cold is a extraterrestrial being, right?
The smiling man.
The smiling man. He was tied to the Mothman prophecies. He was the person who would show up at people's houses. He was the person who was telling these things are going to happen here. He was the one giving the prophecies basically about what was going to happen in the town. And Injured Cold has it, but he has connections to other things in the cryptid world. Injured Cold has connections to the Kentucky Goblins. If you've never heard that story, it's another very weird story. Okay, so I think it was 1977. It was Hopkinsville, Kentucky. This family lived in this farmhouse in Hopkinsville. I forget how many there were in the house, but they ended up calling the police department, and they were frantic, gunshots going off, saying we're being attacked by little green men that came out of the cave system that's near our property. Now, if you know Kentucky has the largest cave system in the United States. There's even parts of these caves that have never, ever been touched by humans, ever. And they probably won't be. So who the heck knows what is down there, right? Mm-hmm. People think that there's underground UFO bases.
Hollow Earth.
Hollow Earth.
There's undergrounds everywhere. Yeah.
There's even supposedly the government knows about this, and people in power, they like worship these things, right? And this secret society that's in a town in Kentucky, and I forget the name of the town because it's not Hopkinsville. It's a town close to there, but it's not Hopkinsville.
This thing and this thing.
there's this secret society in town, and they are responsible for they think they're responsible for probably the most gruesome murders in the history of Kentucky that are still unsolved, right? Whenever anyone starts to dig about these things, about the Green Goblins and about the connections to the government, something bad happens. And it's almost like it's almost always pretty instant that this happens. People don't dig, and the people who live there, they know better. The people come around asking, and they tell them, "I wouldn't do that if I were you. I wouldn't do that."
It's no coincidence that the Vatican was built upon the hill over top of underground.
Yeah, there's so much to that Hollow Earth stuff.
Cities.
Right. I wish you guys would. You got to watch that documentary that I told you about, Hellier.
Might want to write it down this time.
If you're an Injured Cold fan, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love it. He's tied to this. So basically, what happened was there was a doctor who reached out to the people who made this movie. These docuseries, who really at the time they weren't doing the paranormal stuff that they used to do. An email was sent to a paranormal group page that this guy Greg Newkirk, who made Hellier, had when he was a teenager. Okay, he didn't shut it down because it had so much of their footage on it that he thought it was just fun to keep around because it was easier than trying to store the footage in his new computer or whatever. It was just kept on the website. And so he never shut it down. Well, this guy sends an email to this website that he hasn't used in years. So at first he thinks, like, this is weird. This isn't, this can't be real. But in the email, this guy sounds very, very serious. And he's even says to them, I have pictures of these things. And I have pictures of the footprints. So he sends them, and the pictures are very, very weird. They are weird, man. They look like aliens. They look like they're glowing. They look like they're the size of a child. And the footprints have dermal ridges. They look like a turkey track with 3 toes, but if the 3 toes were all fat and wide. And then it just gets so weird. There's a connection to Injured Cold and different space councils that work with Earth's leaders, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if people don't never heard of this stuff, like there's supposedly councils of aliens in space, good ones and bad ones, right? Just like anywhere else. And these councils have been in contact with our government forever, the world government forever.
Mm-hmm.
They make decisions about this planet. Apparently, they'll tell our government basically, listen, you need to do this, or you need to not do this.
They give them ideas on how to build stuff and trade for what.
Right. So yeah, right. Who knows? But
right. Exactly. We won't get into that.
But look into that story. I'm not going to get into it because I want you to watch it. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
We haven't watched that one, but we do know quite a bit about all that.
Oh man, it's amazing. Did you ever read Communion?
Communion, no.
No. Oh man, you got to read that book, buddy. You got to read that book.
I think I've watched a movie on that. But you know about Admiral Byrd, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. His story goes.
Tell the people.
Yeah, tell the people. Yep.
Oh, you mean like right now?
You guys tell the people about Admiral Byrd.
Admiral Byrd was an explorer, and he did a lot of.
Well, first he was a Navy admiral.
Yeah.
He fought in World War I and II.
Yep, he fought in both World Wars. He was one of the greatest early explorers of the, not only of the North Pole but of the South Pole. Mm-hmm. I can't get into the South Pole just because there's too much Operation High Jump and all of that. But it's the North Pole I did a video a few days ago on his trip over the North Pole, and it includes his flight log. And there was supposedly a secret diary because he wasn't allowed to tell any of this stuff. He brought back his findings from the North Pole, and they said, you can't say this stuff.
Right.
But supposedly after he died, they found his diary, and he had his flight log from his trip over the North Pole. And
he didn't believe they were going to the North Pole because it was all green.
Yeah, it's just a phenomenal story, and it ends up tying in with what you just said about meeting some people or the master, and the master sent a message with Admiral Byrd to get back to the government, basically telling the government enough of the nuclear weapons. Mm-hmm. They didn't meddle with the wars of mankind, but now mankind is messing with something that they shouldn't be, which is atomic energy. Mm-hmm. And that was his message, and that it's the same thing. These beings speaking to our government. And
well, you've heard the stories, right, of the UFOs flying over the nuclear missile silos and shutting them down. Mm-hmm. Like cutting off all power. Nobody could do anything at all. They went offline, and these things are flying above when it's happening. If that's not telling you something, that's not telling you that they're trying to save us from our own destruction. Mm-hmm. I saw a meme once, and it was so fitting. It was two aliens talking, and then one alien was like, "Oh, I found this planet with other beings on it," and the second alien's like, "Oh, are they intelligent?" And first alien goes, "Definitely not. They got all their own weapons aimed at each other." I mean, smart. It's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. And I don't want to offend anybody who's religious, okay? Because I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying there's a lot of coincidences when you look across the globe at different cultures that were not connected in any way. They had no way to talk to each other. They were separated by oceans when there was no planes, when there wasn't a boat to take across the ocean. I'm talking about like the first civilizations when people were not traveling, right? This is not Christopher Columbus. This is like, early man. And they're drawing spaceships, drawing these things coming from the sky. And all of them everywhere across the globe look all very similar.
I don't believe in coincidences.
No, there can't be a coincidence. How is that a coincidence when they couldn't talk to each other? There was
Yeah,
no
we
there was no
talked about this
mailman.
the other day.
What about?
Yeah.
It was ancient Twitter.
Ancient StreamYard.
I have a question to ask you. Do you believe in real life vampires?
In what sense, though? What do you mean? Like people who suck blood and live off blood?
In any sense, like even if it's a spiritual sense or if it's a physical sense.
I know people who live their lives as vampires. Like they practice, you know, all the things that the vampire. I forget the name of the book. There's a book basically, kind of like, you know, the Bible would be. But this book tells you how to live your life as a vampire, and they're not evil people at all. They're some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. But they live their life that way. So they do different things than, you know, we do. They dress differently. It's just, you know, I don't know. I guess it's probably that thing like where some people really wanted to be a vampire for their whole life, and then when they got old enough, they decided, like, you know what, I'm just going to try it. I'm going to live an alternative lifestyle, and this is the lifestyle I choose to live. There's some famous vampires like living now. I go to Salem quite often because it's not too far, and especially for Halloween because it's such a big deal up there, you know. And that place is like littered with vampires. You know, they have a vampire ball every year, 24 hours. This thing goes on. It's all through the day and night. It's dancing. It's eating. It's probably for some people drinking blood. You know, I don't know, but yeah, I believe in him. I believe in him. Why not? You know, each his own. Doesn't bother me. Just don't, you know, sneak a bite. If I don't know what's coming, you might get a right cross. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, I'm not one. Well, ever since I was little, like between the ages of like 2 and 5, I started dreaming, having these like nightmares of these. I was in this big house, but in my dreams when I was little, I was older, and I would always start off sitting at this funny looking table. And I remember the back being squishy. So it was like, now I would think of like an old Italian restaurant or something where it was like a table in the middle and how it went in a half moon shape. It was brown and it had high backs and it was cushioned. So it would be like one of those benches with a back on it with a table in the middle. And there'd be all these people just kind of there, and I would just be sitting there. And this man would always come in, and he could talk to me without moving his lips.
Well, that's creepy.
Now, again, why am I having these dreams between the ages of starting when I was like 3, 4, 5 years old? So he had dark hair, fair skin, and he would just... I would always think about not wanting to be there. I always wanted to go back home. And whenever I would think about that, that's when he would show up, warning me not to leave because they'll find me and basically I wouldn't be there anymore. I had this dream repeatedly well into my 20s.
Really?
Yeah. So when I got older, I realized that these things were vampires, but when I was little dreaming about these things, I didn't know what they were. So like in this big, huge mansion type house, we would all go downstairs. People would be wearing cloaks. There would be these wheels that would be spinning with these beautiful women on them. And they would spin them and spin them and spin them. And then boom, they wouldn't be there anymore with us either. It was pretty horrific growing up, having these nightmares repeatedly every single night to at least every week. I would wake up in horror and shock and not know. I mean, I was too little to know what was going on, and then started the dreams about the werewolf. It always started off dark outside. My dad and a bunch of people were around playing basketball, and everyone would go in. I would be the last one to go in because my dad always told me to go get the ball. It was always weird because there was always a van in our driveway, which we never had with ladders, which is really kind of strange, which I'll get to. And as everyone was gone, I would turn around to go back in the house, and the house would be different. And I would turn around back to the yard looking over by this fan, and up every single time would come this big, huge wolf. And it was different because it looked partially human and partially dog. And I would run in the house screaming, and the whole house would be different. Everyone who just went inside wasn't there. It was a completely different house. And this thing would just chase me until I got to the attic. And I would, every single time in my dream, plug in this lamp and hold it up. And he would always laugh at me and said, "It's sunlight, stupid." And he would do this to the lamp, and I would wake up. I also had that dream repeatedly until my probably late 20s, early 30s. So how does a little girl dream about those two types of things if they don't exist?
Yeah, Cashew has a good comment there. It says, yeah, how can those images come from the imagination of a child? Makes you wonder about the origin of dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was 12, there was a boy down the road from me. And
this is a creepy one.
I went to bed, and we were just friends. We did everything together, built forts. We even built those forts underground where you dig a hole, put all those sticks across them. By the way, don't ever start a fire in one of those things. You'll get smoked out. But, you know, we played football with the kids and everything. And I hung out with a lot of boys, but him and I were really good friends. And I went to bed that night, and I woke up, and I saw something in my room that made me go to my dad's room where he had a fit because I'm a teenage girl and I can't be in there. It doesn't matter how scared I am. I woke up to seeing this tall, dark thing. And it had this weird head and long arms, and it just stood there. It didn't really have a face. It just had a shape. It was dark. And felt like I couldn't breathe right. Like I was breathing, so like maybe it wouldn't hear me, or I just remember being like really scared. Well, the next morning, I did go back to sleep. The next morning, my friend down the road called me and said that he saw something in his room. I said, "Don't tell me that, because so did I." He said, "Draw it, get the coffee ready, and I'll be right over." Because yes, at the age of 12, we drank coffee. We had paper routes. We drew the same thing. Yeah. That person I still talk to today.
That's weird.
Yeah, I've had my toes pulled. I've had my hair pulled.
Can I ask the chat something real quick?
Yeah.
All of you guys in chat, have you guys ever experienced anything like that in the home you live in, or any home that you have lived in? Have you seen shadows? Like my wife said, have you had your toes pulled? Have you heard things that shouldn't be there? I'm just curious. I mean,
or dreamt about things.
Yeah, we've talked to a lot of people, and there's more people that have experienced these type of things than you can imagine.
Yep.
I don't meet many. I wish I did.
They're out there. There's a lot of people who have experienced this stuff.
Right. I mean, and I think that there's different explanations to it. I don't think it's all the same thing. So I think some of it is probably alien, extraterrestrial type of stuff where they're coming and people get abducted. I believe it. I mean, Travis Walton's story is just too. The guy's been put under hypnosis how many times? And every single time it's the same thing. You just can't fake that. You just can't. And so, you know, I mean, now we know obviously UFOs are real. They finally gave us the, hey, guess what? You were right. We were lying. But most of us, if you had a brain in your head, you knew it anyway, because who's so ignorant to think that in a universe that's infinite, that goes on forever. There's no end at all to it. That there's not some other life form out there that's more advanced than we are. I mean, think about how old an infinite universe is. It's infinitely old. So, in that universe, we're probably babies. We're in 2022. How many other planets are out there that are probably in the millions of years or hundreds of thousands of years old, and have been developing technologies and all these things way much longer than we have.
You talk about space a lot. Have you ever thought about beneath the ground or
Of course, absolutely,
in the earth?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
And you think there's like a connection between space and earth, like with the energy in that
there's a place over Kentucky where the you can actually physically see this, where space bends to try to touch this energy portal in Kentucky. It's you can physically see it, that it comes down to try to touch the earth in this spot, because there's so much energy coming out of that area, so much electromagnetic energy. There's a giant quartz line that runs there. It's like the perfect storm of everything. There's a ley line that goes through there. There's this giant quartz deposit, and then there's this electromagnetic anomaly of some sort, where there's so much electromagnetic energy coming out of there that the sky in space literally is bending to try to touch Earth there. So yeah, I believe there's a connection. Yes.
Now think about that. Kentucky has one of the most massive cavern systems on the planet.
And they're claiming that there's these little green men in these caverns underneath the earth, right? I mean, it makes sense. It all makes sense. And the people who have investigated those things have been visited by some pretty strange folks. The typical really pale skin, features are not very, just kind of basic, bland features on their faces, and
Men in black.
Dressed in black with a briefcase. I mean,
what's up with the briefcases? What do they have in those briefcases?
Exactly. What do they have?
Do they open them up and they hop in there and go poof, or do they,
some of those reports from during the investigations of the Mothman about the Men in Black,
the black-eyed children.
The waitress was describing these Men in Black who came in. She said they were holding their silverware and they had like no clue what to even do with it. That's just weird.
Yeah, it's weird. Have you ever seen a video of them? There's only a couple that I've ever seen.
I have. I've taken clips. I've put them in videos. I do these alien cryptid zombie apocalypse videos. Yeah. And
you have the Men in Black in them?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
I've done intros for him too, where those ones where they're running and they're on the road and they keep like bobbing like this. Have you ever seen that one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
There's a video. It's hard to find, but there was a guy who worked at some hotel somewhere that had a UFO sighting. It was a very close encounter. It was really intense. And he started talking about it to the news and to all these people. Well, there's a video of these guys going into this hotel. It's two of them. They look exactly like we described, with the long coat, the hat, the briefcase, pale skin, weird looking. They just look weird. Their faces don't look quite right. And they walk in, and their mannerisms, for the brief amount of time that you see them, just seem very off. They don't seem natural.
No.
They just seem off. So what are these things? Because I don't think they're human.
Yeah.
There was a guy in Sweden or Switzerland, Billy something or other, older gentleman, who was being visited by UFOs for a very long time. They would literally, he met the aliens on some of them. Like, it's one of the most famous stories of UFOs that there ever was. Matter of fact, I'm going to look it up right now because my CTE, I have a very hard time remembering certain things.
I'm looking for those videos.
Swedish. I think he was Swedish. Swedish farmer UFO. Billy Meier. Billy Meier. Okay.
That sounds familiar.
This is one of the most incredible stories. Okay. Let me try to find the best, the good one.
Case you just shared a link for Billy Meier.
It's amazing. It's really an amazing story, and it was ongoing for quite a while. So let's see what this says. Edward Albert Meier, commonly known nicknamed Billy, is the founder of a UFO religion called the Faerie. I cannot pronounce this. It's like Swedish. Intersendsgemenskap för Grens. I can't. Probably nothing like that. Und Geisteswissenschaften und Ufologie-Studien, free community of interest for the border and spiritual sciences and ufological studies is the religion he started. He's an alleged contactee whose UFO photographs are claimed to show alien spacecraft. Meier claims to be in regular contact with extraterrestrial beings he calls the Plejarin. He also presented other material during the 70s, such as metal samples, sound recordings, and film footage. Meier claims to be the seventh reincarnation after 6 prophets common to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam: Enoch, Elijah, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Emmanuel, and Muhammad. Okay, that I didn't know. That's a little strange. But the pictures, let me see. I'm going to show you some of these pictures. And they put these things through many different tests. And, you know, a lot of this stuff happened in like the 70s. It would have been very hard to fake this stuff back then. Let's see. Pictures. Boom. Yeah, these are crazy. I got to bring it up on the computer. That's what I have to do so I can share it. Sorry. I didn't know we were going to go down this rabbit hole. Let me find them. I'm not there anymore, am I?
We see you.
You do? Okay. So I won't pick my nose. So this guy, he has photographed these things, and he spoke to many of these aliens for over the course of years. They've even told him things that were going to happen here, you know, it's crazy. Some of this stuff. All right, so how do I do this? Now I go to present, and I go to share screen. Right? Is that what I do?
Or a tab.
I don't have a tab. Let's see.
Yeah, just click something. We'll figure it out.
Share screen is easy as 2 monitors. Sharing works pretty bit. Share screen. Oh, that's probably not what I wanted to do. Man, why? How come I can't do this?
Yeah, StreamYard changed their settings.
Google Slides, PowerPoint, video animations, upload file.
What comes up when you click setting? Present.
When I click what? Present?
Yeah.
Present.
It says slides, extra camera, video file, or share screen.
Share screen, right?
You want to share your screen, and then you want to choose the tab that you want to share.
I'm going to choose the tab that I want to share. Chrome
What
tab.
are your options up at the top? Entire
okay,
screen.
here we go. I got it.
You want to choose tab.
Boom. Is that working?
Yep.
Yep.
You can see these pictures?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So these are all these pictures this guy took, right? Look at these things. how would you fake this back in like the 70s?
It's going to be hard, I guess, in the 70s. But
It would be pretty difficult. I mean, this one down on the this one down bottom left. Look at that thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is just some crazy stuff. That's a better picture of it in the middle there, almost all the way to the right. I mean, look at that thing. Doesn't look like it's made on this planet. It looks like it's made out of some metal that we don't have here.
right.
But anyway, so yeah, Billy Meier.
These were Billy Meier's pictures?
These were Billy Meier's pictures, yeah.
Okay.
These are all his pictures. Not all of these, but most of them. So this bell thing, this one here, with the blue background, that's like one of the most famous ones that they talk about constantly, where they put this thing through the ringer and they just couldn't prove it, that it was fake. And these, you're talking about hundreds of pictures over and over. He's got a picture of one of these things in the yard, like landed in his yard. It's just nuts. It's just crazy when you think about it. And, they told us that this stuff didn't exist, and now we know for sure it does. So he probably was talking to these people.
Here's another question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so for all of these years, it's been pretty obvious that any of this UFO stuff has been suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that they are hiding now that they are willing to let some of this other stuff trickle out?
Yes. I just was talking about this the other day. Like, there's a reason that they're allowing some things to come out now, because they're trying to keep other stuff hidden. So they're trying to satisfy our curiosity in one way. It's the whole, over here, so that you don't see what's over here.
Yep.
And what is it?
Or they're prepping you up to normalize it to get you ready to be seeing some of these things.
They normalized UFOs over the last 60 years, 70 years, when they've told us they were fake, but they put them in every type of media. We were desensitized to it for so long. So then when they shared it with us, nobody even blinked. They were like,
"Oh, okay."
Right. Everyone went about their business like nothing changed at all for a week.
Should that not have been like society shutting down news?
It should have been the biggest story in the history of this country, in the history of the world, that there are these beings for sure that have been visiting this planet forever, right?
And we have Space Force now.
Oh yeah, thank God for Space Force. Thank God. Jeez, that sounds
the
so
ones they're talking about, right?
Oh yeah, that thing. Yep, I remember that.
They just bob up and down, don't they? The way they run doesn't even look right. Creepy.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Sorry, it took me a while.
But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. Like, we make a bigger deal about who's the Super Bowl halftime show,
right?
You're talking about beings from other planets, for God's sakes, that somehow make it to this planet from who knows how far away. Just the fact that they have technology that does that alone should be a earth-rattling headline. I mean, it should make everybody go, holy, like, this is incredible.
But 40 or 50 years worth of desensitizing through placing them in movies, and it was like, okay, yeah,
right, yeah, absolutely, yep. And that's what happens.
Now here's, I know I don't want to get into another rabbit hole, but
no, let's do it. Love the rabbit hole.
Okay, so how many movies lately? I mean, I'm thinking like Stranger Things. I'm thinking a lot of different shows and movies that have portals.
Yep.
Right.
That's just one of the recent ones.
Right. I mean, there's been tons and too many to count movies that have portals, because, like you said,
Spider-Man.
what's on the other side? That darkness coming through. What do you think they're trying to do with places like CERN? I don't know. You ever researched that?
Places like what?
CERN, CERN.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. CERN. Yep.
Well, look at their symbol first of all. With the
I don't know. I don't know a ton, but
okay, well,
it's only
their
something that I
symbol.
just heard about recently.
Okay.
So, I mean, from everything that you kind of try to pull out of what they're doing, that almost sounds like they're trying to make a portal. It's
Look at their statue.
Yeah,
they
I'm
have
telling
out
you,
in
there's
front of their building
there's
is
a lot of
actually,
darkness associated with that stuff.
yeah, the symbol of the woman that they have in their emblem out in front of their building.
Shiva.
It's Shiva. Yeah,
she's like the goddess of destruction.
She's the destroyer goddess, like the goddess of destruction. Yeah.
I'm familiar with Shiva.
Yeah. So
wow, that's scary.
yeah, they call it tinfoil hat type stuff. That's not what they're really doing, like opening all their portals or anything like that. But
when you start messing with that kind of stuff, man, how do you know what you're opening? Where that other side, where that door opens to?
Well, exactly, and the guy's on record of saying that.
Yeah,
he's like, there may be something coming through either direction, from here to there or there to here. It's like, how about maybe you stop?
It's in Sweden, and China is going to make one 4 times as powerful.
Oh, that's wonderful.
They're already working on it.
Man, you know, and this is when I start to think about things that certain people have said. Okay? Some people, you might know who I'm talking about, said that these Bigfoot creatures are here for a much bigger purpose, that they're going to expose what the evil people are trying to do here. I've heard this multiple times. Now I don't know if there's any credence to it whatsoever, but it does seem a little strange that there's all this stuff going on that is never going on before. You know, I listen to Bob Lazar often whenever I get the chance, because I think this is a guy who's been credible since the 80s and nobody wanted to believe him. He's a genius. I mean, this guy is genius level smart. And, you know, some of the things that he talked about seeing at S4 were crazy. And if we were able to get our hands on that technology and have had that for so long, who knows what we can do? Who knows what we're working on? But the problem is, we are one of the most corrupt, power-hungry, greedy, ignorant races of being that probably in the solar system. And so we do stupid things like let's try to create a portal.
Yeah, the Hadron Collider. They're launching particles at the speed of light, so they collide
to make a black hole.
Have you heard the sounds coming from that? I have them recorded just in case.
No.
You haven't heard their sounds?
Cryptids.
Is it those horns that you keep hearing?
No. This is no.
What are those horns? What about that?
Well, we hear them here. We've been hearing them here for years. It almost sounds like
giant.
It almost sounds like metal grinding and singing all at the same time. Like if you could take singing that you couldn't see and just kind of put it into the sky somewhere, but you can hear it down here. It's weird. They're weird. We had them go on for like a few years off and on, and a bunch of like rumble noises, and everybody was calling the police stations and the fire stations and anyone who would listen. And they did a whole thing here in the Adirondacks, and basically they don't know why. They wouldn't give us a reason why. But I can tell you one thing. If you look up to certain places that are higher up here, when you go to those places, military bases, there's like nothing there but a field.
So cryptics, etc. with Bobby, it's exactly like Stargate. Exactly like
Stargate. Yeah.
Yep. Just like Stargate.
It's weird.
I'm gonna tell you a story.
I was gonna find those sounds.
You want to hear? This is a weird story. Okay, it's strange. It's not like crazy strange, but it's strange. So when I was a kid, we lived in New London, Connecticut. So it's like only a town over. It's a pretty populated town. it's kind of a city, small city. So one night we were sitting in the house. It was a summer night. All of a sudden there were these really strange bright lights in the sky, and I'm not talking about like it didn't look like a light like this. Like, it wasn't just this singular round light. It was like the sky was lighting up, like encompassed by these different color lights. It was really strange, right? So that happens first. It's like green, blue, white, like, and I'm talking about just the whole sky for as far as you can see. So I was a kid, and I'm like, I knew it was weird. Like, probably about 12 at that point. Right after that, the lights like just dim, and then there was the loudest boom that I've ever heard in my life.
This wasn't the 4th of July, was it?
No, we've heard booms to the point where we've been on lives before, and other people could hear it too.
This was every police department, fire department, 911 for counties were getting calls for for so long, because this was like, it was so loud that it shook the house. Like
would you compare it to like a sonic
booms?
Even bigger. I mean, it was incredible. But you can write off a big boom, I guess, but why the colors in the sky?
Mm-hmm.
That's strange. This is not Canada. This is not the Northern Lights. This is nothing like that. It was very weird looking, very weird. And then we had a major UFO incident right on the water, right on Long Island Sound, right by where I went the other day. That seaside place, a ton of people, and this was literally like a week later. A ton of people saw this giant craft in the sky hovering over the water. The lights were shining on the water, and they said the water was vibrating. They could see it. They could see it literally, like doing this with, and almost, they said some people described it as even like droplets dancing. Yeah,
like here where we have this one pool of water where a certain part of the water goes the other way that it's not supposed to go, and no one, like, it's some kind of weird phenomenon here where it just does that.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Like, even
and
little
like
things
we
like
have
that.
Another place not far from here where if you're standing in this one particular spot, and this has been since like the Native Americans were here, okay, actually right across diagonally from Fort William Henry, if you stand in this one spot and shout across the lake, only you can hear your echo, but nobody else around you can hear that echo.
That's weird.
Just weird stuff.
You want to hear those black hole sounds that they've made?
Yeah.
The ones.
Don't show the video. Just play it.
No, this is a recording that I've done.
Okay.
There's no video. It's just a recording.
Black hole sounds?
It's the sounds from the black hole that NASA had
released. So it's not Chris Cornell singing Black Hole's Son.
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I don't know if I want to hear it then.
Nothing that great.
This is recorded by me that NASA recorded. So NASA recorded that I recorded. Yeah.
Okay.
That's out there somewhere.
Sorry, my battery was running low. Saturn, that they bounce sounds off from Saturn too. That sounds similar, but more sinister sounding, I guess.
That sounds like demons. Like, it sounds like a bunch of spirits
really
whining in purgatory or something. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Doesn't sound good.
No. Well, again, I don't think when we start messing around with things like that, I don't think any good comes from it. Doesn't. You're trying to play God. Don't play God. Just don't.
Let it be.
You don't, let it be. You don't have the ability, so don't do it. You don't know what you're opening. Even on paranormal investigations, there are things that happen that like get opened up. People don't believe in Ouija boards. I promise you right now, 100%. Those things are real.
They're very real.
They're very real. And if you don't know what you're doing, do not touch them.
Yeah.
Don't. They will invite things in.
You can buy them at 8 years old.
Yeah, I know. I know.
That's the thing. I don't get too much into the paranormal stuff just for that fact, because you go poking around enough into that darkness,
you're gonna find
something's going to poke back.
Of course it is.
And I don't want to be any part of that.
Yeah. By the way, we should actually, if Kyle, you don't mind, before we do get off here tonight, we should. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but prayers for Long Island Bigfoot, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody in
just
chat,
overall.
Yeah, keep Long Island Bigfoot and his family in your prayers.
Yeah,
for sure. Definitely do that, please. I don't know what's going on. I talked to him earlier today. He seemed okay, but things change quickly. Saw it with the dog. I was on a live, and then all of a sudden it was like, I gotta go, guys. See you later. Things can change quickly. Please pray for Long Island. He's a good dude.
Two older daughters who live outside the house, so you never know when you're going to get a phone call at 2, 3, 4 a.m.
You don't want that. That's the worst. You don't want that. You don't want that. It's like the nightmare for every parent ever. Like,
it is.
Phone call at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Oof. My mom got a couple, but it was, you got bail money?
No.
So, in case you shared a link, and I think that's for the sounds, or some of those sounds of the black hole.
Thank you, Cashew.
Black hole sound. Is Cashew not like, how amazing is Cashew?
Yeah.
Like that fast with everything. Bing, like nothing.
Mm-hmm. I think she has, it's partial AI. I'm not sure yet, but
you think so?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think so. I think she would like go ninja on you for saying that. Here, Cashew.
So there's this method. I just want us to say this, and then we can get off here. I got to do another show actually at 11 o'clock. So if you're awake, if it's going to be a late night for you, please, Cashew, link David Divine broadcasted for me. David's great. David's wonderful. Such a nice guy. You want to talk about a guy, if you're having a bad day and you want to feel good about yourself, go to David's channel and just say hi. David will make you feel good. David is a super, super, super nice guy. He's an accomplished musician. He plays in a band with Marky Ramone, which is incredible. I mean, that's nuts. You talk about music royalty. I mean, if you don't know who the Ramones are, you got problems, Holmes. But so I'm going to be on David Divine after this, and we're going to have a big old discussion about music. Which I'm super excited.
Don't worry that you don't know him, because all of a sudden he'll read your name off and you'll feel like you've been there 10 years.
Yeah, that's how he is. He's just guy. He's so nice. David is great. The Nut House. Oh my God, I love your little Planter Peanut character. It's amazing.
Hi, Peanut. Love you.
Peanut's a good dude.
Yes.
You know Peanut?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We shared you out.
Is that his nickname, Peanut?
Peanut.
Well, it's the Nut. We'll just keep it at the Nut House, or Nut or Peanut. Yeah, we'll just keep it there. He doesn't show his face. He's a nut.
That's okay. Actually, you don't have to show your face.
He does this thing called I called it nut tag.
It's not what you think.
No, it's not what you think. So he likes to bring people together. So he started this thing where you get nut tagged. You get tagged by the Peanut, and we just named it Nut Tag. And he's laughing. And he'll make a video about like you being nut tagged, okay? And it's the best videos ever. They're hilarious. But what it does is he makes other people and channels known through the nut tagging. And plus it's like,
it's just like
who doesn't need a good nut tagging every now and then? Not like
The worst part though is that
and he's
first
really,
you said nut tag and then you said peanut, but it didn't sound like peanut.
yeah. Okay, well, our friend at the Nut House, his channel, he's really, really smart. He loves bringing people together.
He is smart because he didn't even know that he was making this incredible joke, right? And when he gave himself the name Peanut and was nut tagging people.
Yeah, David Devine has been nut tagged, and right there's the video to prove it.
Cashew nut tagged David Devine.
Oh, that's true. Cashew did nut tag him.
Yeah.
Wow, when did this become a porn show?
This happened almost about a year ago. No one's safe. No one's safe.
I feel, I'm a little jealous. I don't know the last time I was nut tagged was. Been a long time.
Yeah, see, Cashew says my fave, David Devine, has been nut tagged. She dropped a video of like David Devine.
Wow.
So yeah, once you're nut tagged, you have to wait.
There's David.
I don't know you, Peanut, but I love you already.
Yeah, so once you're nut tagged, you have to wait until Peanut goes and makes a video about your nut tagging, and then you can go get somebody else to go be it. But they have to be on panel or in chat to be nut tagged. They can't not be there. You know what I mean?
You too, Kyle, may one day be nut tagged.
You may be nut tagged.
If I'm lucky enough, if I'm lucky enough. It's every man's dream, after all.
The Nut House is not just about nut tagging, though. He's very
no, you can't just rely on nut tagging.
Super talented musician.
And
actually, the Nut House should hook up in that stream you guys are doing later, because the Nut House is a very talented musician.
Yes, really? He is. Yeah, I'm very blessed to work with him. He is an awesome musician and singer. And we get together and we make music videos from time to time.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, he does so much on his channel, though. And he does like these videos and talks where he talks about things going on today and like history and brings it into today and how, I don't know. You just got to go check him out. I think you'll love him.
Yeah. You can't, that's just not fair, though. We can't have the Nut House on with me and David Devine. It's already David Devine is this incredible musician who's lived his whole life making music. And I told Cashew this earlier. I've lived my whole life making bad decisions. So we're just, it's going to be David Devine and then, me down here. You bring the Nut House into it, and then we got one more musician. Who knows what happens from there.
I don't know how all this happened, but
organically.
Yeah. Okay. Like what you do, you like to bring people together, a place to talk, uplift people, give a place to talk about things where it may be a little bit different. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He does that too, but just in a different way. Everybody has like unique talents and everyone has a uniqueness about them and a way to like surround people and uplift people. Yeah. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why I love this this community within the community, because the people who are here, people who are in the chat every day, and they're usually here every day. I don't see a lot of them tonight, but that's okay. I get it. Like, it's Friday night. Some people have lives. I don't. But the people who are here and the people who show support are just incredible. They're incredible people. The people who Cash goes back and forth, tagging, sharing, all that stuff with all these people like David Devine and now Peanut and the nut tagging. They're amazing people, even if they're tagging nuts. They're good folks, watch out where you're tagging nuts at, because
actually he even made a video about Bigfoot being tagged. We
don't talk about that anymore.
Oh yeah. All of a sudden he became this like actual hairy Sasquatch because his nickname's Bigfoot too.
Which is another thing. Like my nickname is just Bigfoot, right? Which typically stands out in a crowd, but when you're in like a Bigfoot community, Bigfoot's like, oh, it's John Smith. So you almost can't just go by Bigfoot. Your real name stands out more than Bigfoot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I feel your pain.
Your feet are like canoes.
Yeah.
Why? What size shoe do you wear?
Just normal.
No, what's normal?
15. That's not too big.
Let me go demonstrate.
That's not normal. I wear a 13. Like that's a pretty big shoe. 15.
It is a big shoe.
15's a friggin' monster. How tall are you?
6'5".
And a half.
Okay, you're a big boy. Yeah. All right.
Here's my head. Here's Bigfoot's shoe. I mean, yeah, it's not. This isn't big at all.
That's a big shoe. My family makes fun of me because of how big my foot is for a woman.
Oh, he read a comment. I thought you were talking from personal experience. Can I say thanks to somebody real quick?
Of course you can.
Okay, so it was about a month ago. I came up with this brainchild in my pea brain, and this one encouraged it to start this new channel. And because I, just like all of you guys, I like the mysterious. I like, cryptids. I especially love Bigfoot. And I started chatting with our friend, most of our friend, Cashew. And I want to thank Cashew because I blow her email up, and she responds back, doesn't complain, and the new channel name, what you see right there, Bigfoot Lake. Okay. Like I mentioned, my nickname is Bigfoot, and she is Lake Faerie Preparedness. So Bigfoot Lake. That is the backstory of the channel. Bigfoot Lake, right? But Cashew thought it would be a good channel name. She came up with this name because Bigfoot Lake is just like a mysterious place to hear stories. So that's Cashew's brainchild, and I just appreciate all the help that Cashew does. She's been
amazing.
Help. Yeah,
she's amazing. I Cash, I got to tell you this. I've never said this out loud. For whatever reason, when I first started this channel and you started popping up, like I knew you from Bigfoot Odyssey, but I never really paid attention, to the intricacies of what was going on in the chat. So when we first started talking, I thought Cash was a dude. I thought Cash was a dude for so long, and then I'm like, wait a minute. And I think at one point I may have even called her dude, like just out of, just doing it like so often. Not that matters, but I felt like an idiot afterwards but Cash is amazing. Cash does so much for so many people. We talk pretty often. I said to Cash, I was like, if this channel ever makes it like to the point where it's big, I'm going to hire you, like full on hire you, because
good investment. That's a good investment.
It's an amazing investment. You want to talk about like marketing? Cash knows marketing. Cash knows communications. Cash knows.
Cashew knows nuts too.
Cashew knows nuts. Yep, she does. She knows how to tag them.
Yeah.
No, Cash is incredible. Yeah, so
she's a
Cash
good friend.
She deserves a ton of praise. I say it, and every chance I get, I try to say it to her. Like, she's invaluable to this channel. Invaluable.
So we appreciate you.
We appreciate you appreciating her.
Yeah, and Kyle, we appreciate you because
we appreciate you.
Yeah. It was when the channel first. I think the channel hasn't even been up a month, and when it first started going, Cashew's like, you need to go check out this guy's channel, this Encrypted Connections, Kyle, because he's a really cool guy, and I think you guys would hit it off. And I'm glad she did, because
absolutely,
it's been nice meeting you. And we the first live of yours that we saw, we looked at each other and we're like, we like this guy because he's just genuine. He's genuine. He's real. He's not it's not super fancy. It's just Kyle being
he's not
being a good dude.
Pull one over on anybody.
Yes, so we appreciate that. We like what you present.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It means a lot. It really does. I say this once in a while, but I'm a regular dude. You do this, you're a regular guy, right? We're no different than anybody else. And I think that sometimes people look at it and they feel like, you might be, you're just a little different because you're doing this. Well, we're not. There's days where I feel like dog crap, and I'm mentally and emotionally, I just don't feel good. I'm not feeling confident. I'm not feeling funny. I'm not feeling happy, and I don't want to do anything. But it's the people here continue to make me feel better every day, every single day. Somebody says something nice. Multiple people say something nice. There's so much crap in the world that tears us down. It's almost like it's built to do that.
Right.
And this is, I don't want this to be that place. I want this to be the opposite of that. Cashew has a term, she said, and I love the term, it's championing other people.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. I want to champion others. I want to make people feel good. I want to make them feel important. Just think about if you're out in public, right, and you run into a stranger, and say you just hold the door for that person, and that person says thank you, and then they start a conversation with you.
Yeah.
You don't know them, but doesn't it feel good?
Yeah.
It feels good, right?
It's important to be nice to people because
it's so important.
People are strong, but people are fragile. People have fragile moments, even in their strengths. That opening that door or giving them a smile can either break them or make them that day. It's how you treat people can make a person or break them that day.
Absolutely.
In an instant. And all it can take to uplift somebody is just, I don't care if they look miserable, just give them a smile. And the past couple of years, people aren't used to people smiling. What did I say now?
Oh boy.
I'm regular too. Yeah, that fiber is important.
On a normal stream, that would have been the craziest comment of the night, but it just blends right in.
Not here. Definitely not here. No, you're right. You're right. Like, you're absolutely right. 100%. And that's why, like, I knew when we talked for the first time, and when I came over to your channel and watched for the first time, I knew, I was like, oh, I can be friends with this guy. Like, he could be my friend. And then the first time that I used a movie reference that you got.
Oh, Step Brothers.
That's it.
We've got the DVD, and I'll pop it in for him. But I mean, we have this thing too. Sometimes in the morning, you're like, we've never really been in a fight in all the years we've been married, but it's like we have these weird little disagreements, and I'm like, you know what, you got to call me Dragon, and we'll just get her done with it. And
you can call me Nighthawk.
Yeah,
you have to have the pause in there.
Yeah. Yes, we did just become best friends. You want to go do karate in the garage?
Yep.
Yep. Some of the greatest lines in cinema history. I mean, just amazing. That, and there's another one, but I can't say the lines from the other movie I'm thinking of on here. I'd be kicked off of YouTube. But one-liners. When you talk about one-liners, the movie Superbad.
Oh, I love that movie.
Oh my God, some of the greatest one-liners ever. I cannot say them on here though. This whole crowd would be like, "Oh my God, you're filthy." Yeah. Yeah, you guys are wonderful. I'm very happy that we finally got to meet and got to talk. That's why I wanted to do it over StreamYard that day instead of just doing it over the phone, because it makes it a little more personal. We're not right in front of each other, but it's different. It makes it more real.
Do you like art?
Do I like art?
Yeah.
I like Art Bell.
What?
Never mind. Yeah, I like art. Yes, I like art.
You want to see my squatchy pics?
Your what?
My squatchy pic. I recently did like 3 squatchy pics.
Of a Sasquatch?
Which one do you want me to
I asked
show?
her to paint a painting of a car coming down the road at nighttime with his headlights on.
Oh, that road down there.
And you see the illumination of a Bigfoot walking across the road in
you
front
want
of
me
the
to show him
car.
that one? Not,
Yeah.
not the other
Have you
ones?
seen the picture that I have now for my Facebook page, for the group, and for the Instagram page?
I haven't gone to your Facebook thing yet. I keep forgetting to grab the link, and now I don't have my phone on me. Do you have it?
I'm gonna show you right now.
Okay.
This was a picture that the guy, he's a buddy of mine. He's a really good guy. He's a graphic artist. He's gonna make the logo for me, for the channel, the banner, all of it. It's probably gonna be the thing that goes on the merch when I do the merch, which probably will start at like 1,000 subscribers, I think is when I'm gonna do it. So he's a very talented artist. It's weird because when I went to him and told him the idea that I had, he said, I don't have a whole lot of time right now because my studio is not built yet. And then his sister went into the hospital. She's not doing well. So like, he's got a lot, but he's like, it's weird though, that you're telling me that this is what your channel's about, because I do have this one picture. And if you want to use it, you can. This is the picture. It's incredible. Hopefully we'll be able to see this.
You'll have to tilt it.
Wow, that is cool.
That's cool.
How awesome is that?
I like
That's
it.
cool.
Very nice.
So here's the thing, right?
They got the whole card thing going on here too.
There's a story behind this.
Interesting.
The guy who's standing in front of the Bigfoot with the hat on, he has no head, he has no face. Okay. So this whole story it's the odyssey of the faceless wanderer, who he felt so invisible that his face literally disappeared. And then he went out searching the rest of the globe to find other people who had a phenomena that was similar to his, so that he felt like he could fit in. And that's when he started bumping into Bigfoot and the Mothman and these other cryptids and things. It's just weird how it all worked out, because we never spoke about cryptids together ever. But yeah, he's incredible. Jared Veens. If you have Instagram, please check him out. JRO Veens, Viens. Incredible stuff. But go ahead. So sorry.
That's okay.
Hey TJ Squatchy.
Hey TJ Squatchy. She's queen of the Sasquatches, don't you know?
Oh, queen of the Sasquatch. Okay.
Yeah.
And our friend.
And she's good friends with Cashew as well.
TJ, queen of the Sasquatch. Nice.
Yeah. Do have to warn you, her and Cashew, they kind of get worked up sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, it's like comedy hour in chat with those two.
Yeah, especially when it comes to mother-in-laws.
Yeah, TJ Squatchy's mother-in-law officially qualifies as a cryptid.
You want me
really?
Yes.
Well, I need to hear more about this. I had
just wait. You will be introduced to TJ Squatchy's mother-in-law in one of your future live streams.
My sophomore English teacher was definitely, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's really good, man. Holy cow.
I'm just starting to paint again, so
that's pretty cool.
I'm really, really rusty, like really rusty.
Yeah, but that's so good.
She's a good painter.
Yeah.
I like to paint on wood too.
Grab your. Oh yeah.
I like to paint with my fingers. That's beautiful. That's incredible. Yeah, I could never do that.
No, never say never.
Show them that winter scene.
No.
All right, one more.
One more. Let's see it.
The winter one?
Yeah. This painting's amazing.
They've got. Here, you can hold that. I can't really
bring that forward. Let me see that. Whoa. That's crazy, bro.
Check out the water. Isn't that cool?
It literally looks like it's shining.
Yeah.
That's really
crazy
beautiful.
Talented.
That's beautiful. Well, you should start putting them things up for sale, which you should do.
That's what my daughter said, and I laughed at her yesterday.
You could. Listen, when I talked about merch, why couldn't you put your paintings on your merch site?
We don't have merch.
Oh my gosh, Kyle showed me a picture of a turkey he made by drawing around his hand.
What did he do?
Kyle showed me a picture of a turkey he made by drawing around his hand.
Oh yeah, when you were little and you did the little thing and you made the turkey out of your hand. We all did that in school. Yeah.
This is how untalented I was at these type of things, though. So in junior high, we had to take sewing class, right? The first thing you make is this, like, it's about this big. They call it a practice pillow. It's literally this square
Oh,
that you
the
put a
kids
little
are
stuffing in and you stitch around the outside. Nope, not me. I couldn't do it. I tried like 8 times to sew this stupid pillow together, and I could never get it. I was so bad at it. The sewing teacher, this is no lie, the sewing teacher finally was like, if you just sit here quietly for, for the remainder of the year, I will give you a passing grade. Because she just gave up. She was like, nope, this guy has no hope.
When I went to school and my oldest 2 daughters went to school, you had a choice between pillows or sleep pants. And I chose the pillow. And
what do you mean, to make in class?
Yeah, you had a choice.
Okay.
You could either make a pillow or you could make sleep pants. And I chose the pillow because I figured it'd be easier. Yeah, I was the girl who sewed my finger to my pillow.
Yeah.
I didn't like the sewing machine after that, and I still don't.
I think sewing class in high school is when I got my first introduction to cryptids, because my first project was an eagle that ended up having 3 wings.
Oh, it's good to know that I'm in good company. Cashew said, I think they recognized we wouldn't be able to make a pillow, so we only got to make a pillowcase. Oh, man. So I guess other people had trouble with that stupid pillow, too. Damn sewing class. Mrs. Dickerson.
Mrs. Dickerson, he remembers.
Of course I remember.
He's got her face on his dartboard.
Oh, man. No. But yeah, no, she was like, she just told me, she was like, if you sit here quietly for the year, don't give me any flack, I'll pass you. Just shut up.
That's cute. Did you play football?
No. I played basketball.
Oh, okay. So you needed the grade to do yeah,
I did. You're right. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I needed.
Yeah, I remember in 7th grade having to write the quarterback of the football team's papers so that way to help him pass. Yeah.
We weren't that type of school where like they were like, oh, the athletes, like, we're gonna do their homework for them. Like, no, if you didn't do well, like, you just, sorry, taking you off the team. We were very good. We were very, very, very good team, though. We won the state championship 2 years in a row. Like, we were really good. But anyway, when I was in school, I had a cryptid for a teacher. Her name was Mrs. Highwile. She was my Mrs. Highwile. She was my sophomore English teacher, and she was a cryptid, full on. Swear to God, she had a head that was the size of Shrek's. Okay. She was about 5 foot nothing. She looked like every typical frumpy teacher you've ever seen in your life, with those ugly, stupid, like, smock dress things. I don't know. She had the worst haircut. I don't even know how to describe it. It was short and curled and like looked like a helmet. She had the biggest ears you've ever seen in your life. These things were so big and long. And she had warts on her face, multiple warts. And,
did they move? Did they move, or did they stay in the same place?
No, they stayed in the same place.
Okay.
But she was, and I don't mean to be mean, but she was really awful. Like, she was just awful to people.
You could have overlooked all of that if she just would have been nice.
Yeah, I would have. I wouldn't have thought about her that way if she was nice. But she was terrible.
If you could choose any kind of cryptid that we know,
yeah.
What would she be?
To compare her to?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I mean, the ears. I mean, she could be
the
like
ears. She had a big bulbous nose. Have you ever seen you know what's that condition called where the nose gets really big in the front and red?
I don't know. Like,
it's a condition. The pores get really open. Can't think of but yeah, I would say she's, probably like a troll of some sort.
A troll
from under the bridge,
Like one of those witchy trolls or something.
Yeah, the one that snatches kids, eats them.
Oh, like from Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, but that was a witch. But I would say she'd be the troll version of that. Yeah, she was. Oof.
Yeah, but have you seen the newer version of Hansel and Gretel? That is terrifying.
Yeah, the one from a couple years ago. Yeah,
that's terrifying.
Have you seen what's the name of that movie? Antlers?
No.
Oh boy.
It's called Antlers?
Yep. It's weird. It's creepy, weird, trippy, scary. It's weird. Yeah.
Oh, look, Mrs. Dickerson's in chat.
She is? Stop it.
Stop it.
Mrs. Dickerson. Mrs. Dickerson. Ugh. God. With her. No. She wore like ankle, these like ankle high stockings, you know, they just came right up over her ankle. That was it. They didn't even go like up high enough where you wouldn't see them. You'd still see the top of it. Yeah, she was not nice either. She was very mean. I had mean teachers, man. Mean teachers. Yeah, I don't know why. But
I had a lot of good teachers.
Later on, I had great teachers. Matter of fact, I had this guy. His name was Mr. Musco. He was my marketing teacher when I was a senior in high school. He was funny, man. He stood in the hallway with a can of Lysol right by the boys' bathroom because people would go in there and smoke, you know. And he'd chase people around with the can of Lysol. But he actually, so illegal. He's retired, so it don't matter. We were like really close with him. He was really like my favorite teacher probably ever. And he invited us out to the beach with him right like before we graduated. And we went to the beach and got hammered with this teacher. And I ended up passing out in the sand, and they left me there face up for like 5 hours on probably one of the hottest days in early June that we ever had. I got sun poisoning. I had to go to the hospital, spent the night in the hospital.
That makes you, you get
wicked sick. I was wicked sick, puking. Yeah, it was terrible. And I had blisters. I was that burnt. And I ended up having to take baths in vinegar to cool the burn. I went to school after 2 days, right? Smelling like someone's salad, and was like burnt from head to toe, like just burnt because I passed out in the sand.
I can just hear the conversation in the teacher's lounge. Mrs. Dickerson talking to one of the other. I told you I'd get even with that Kyle.
Told you he was a terrible, terrible person.
Oh my goodness.
Kind of moron falls asleep at the beach.
The cashier just dropped the link to Antlers. I don't have my phone out here.
Antlers was weird, man.
It's weird.
Antlers was creepy,
well,
weird.
What's that other one? It's not Antlers, but it's the little boy. It was called Sugar. What was that? It's like about chimera type kids. There was these kids that were all born.
Oh yeah.
But they stopped being born as human children, and children started being born part human and part animal. Sweet Tooth.
Sweet Tooth. Yeah, I saw that. That was good.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Do you see a resemblance here at all? I thought this looked like Bigfoot. So he would always sit at his desk. Do you see him?
Look at that fist on that thing.
I know, right? He's amazing, right?
Look at the fist on that thing. Holy
look at the feet.
It's supposed to be a stump, but can you please? Does that look like a toilet to you?
It certainly does.
Yeah.
Looks like how I sit. Yep. Looks like how I sit.
I just want to show them how weird you are with all your squatchiness all over.
Give me my Bigfoot back.
There's nothing wrong with that. What do you mean weird with all this squatchiness? We're in the Bigfoot community. If you don't have squatchy materials.
First rule of the house: you don't touch my Sasquatch.
That's right.
I will touch your Squatch anytime I want. That's why I married him, so I can touch his Sasquatch.
This is against the Geneva Convention.
I thought that's why we got married.
So I know you're lying. Come on till 4.
Why are you sweating?
John Bonham playing Moby Dick for real.
I was watching Cops. Okay, that's why I'm sweating.
Yeah. Why are you so sweaty? I was watching Cops.
I
know you're lying because Cops doesn't come on until 4. Such a wonderful movie. Doesn't matter how many times I watch it, I still laugh. Still laugh. When he put him in the T-shirt, said "I love meth" on the back. He had this big cut on his throat. That.
Well, we've already went with the nut tag earlier. He nut tagged his drum sets.
Yeah.
He rubbed that all over there.
Yes, he did. He did. This house was built in 1815 by General Custer. Oh, I think it's my favorite movie.
Yeah, it's classic.
It's probably, I know it's his favorite movie. It's ridiculous.
I love Will Ferrell. I absolutely love him. I just think his comedy is just gold. Like,
he's always naked though. Name one movie he hasn't not taken clothes off in.
Yeah, he gets naked. He gets his clothes taken off quite a bit. But hey, whatever.
Good with the bad.
And he's always in the tighty whiteys.
It's true. Yeah, I think it's on purpose.
You two are a great match here, Dragon and
Nighthawk.
Yeah,
Nighthawk.
That's why I was pausing. Nighthawk.
I want some fancy sauce.
It's okay that mine's not movie quality.
We're men. We're men. That means something. We go on riverboat gambling trips. We make beef jerky. And we shit with the door open.
We have literally done none of that.
None of those things.
I'm going to give you guys $20 for pizza.
Wait, what if I want wings?
You don't need wings. I could do this all night. But I got another podcast to do in 40 minutes.
Do. So we'll let
it's been 2 hours and 16 minutes. This has been wonderful. You guys, I love you guys. You're the best.
We love you too.
Yeah, thanks for letting us hang out for a bit. And chat, you guys have been awesome. Thanks for
you guys have. We went way off course here. I mean, we were like, this is crazy, but it's been
who saw Mrs. Dickerson coming? I didn't see that coming.
We don't ever want to see that.
Mrs. Dickerson didn't see me coming.
We need like at least 40-minute intermission, work on a prestige wide.
Yeah,
that was worldwide. Wow.
That was my first choice for my channel in case you talk me out of it.
What
was it really?
Wide?
Probably yes. I'll just go with that. Yes.
You should have.
Prestige worldwide.
You name yours Prestige Worldwide. I'll name mine Boats and Hose. We'll both start second channels.
Yeah, I'll bring the lemon heads. You bring the nachos.
I'm watching the lady. I'm watching the ladies.
What's next? The Catalina wine mixer.
It's the Catalina wine mixer. Oh man, I love it. So good. Fun time. Yeah, it was fun. This was really fun. You guys probably hate us because we're just way off track, but this was good. It's good to laugh.
Yeah, laughter's good. It's always
good to laugh. It's not good to eat white dog crap, though. I got a belly full of white dog crap. All right. This has been great. You guys are wonderful.
Thanks for having us.
I'd like to have you come back, continue to come back every once in a while and do this. If you're cool with
we'll
that.
Be around.
Maybe I could have you two on. You guys could do the Step Brothers thing and talk about Sasquatch.
We could.
I could go to another room in the house and I could have guests in Cryptid Connections and Bigfoot Lake on my channel. How about that? Yeah.
Cashew's so good. Cashew's so good.
Trying to set a second channel.
I can't, man.
Oh, we love you. Oh my goodness, girl, you're cracking up.
All right.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Guys, good night. I love you all. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow. All right. Oh man.